what happened was that I decided that I want to make products. Because growing up as well, like I usually spend a lot of my time wearing headphones, being on my laptop, playing video game consoles. And I remember the exact tactile feeling and the use case and their wear and the tear. I was really invested in those products because I think as like an only child, I was much more interested in these things that were part of my life and not other people per se, because I used to spend probably like hours with like my gadgets around me. And so I decided to do product design, industrial design, which is the design of physical products. It can include furniture, it can include consumer electronics, it can include kitchen appliances, anything that you can touch, hold, use. That's what we design. And I took a 1 year gap, which was from the year the COVID happened, so the whole of 2020. And I was going through just applying to colleges, applying to different places within India and outside India as well. And I came about two colleges in the UK, and one of them was the Glasgow School of Art. And as like a very like probably like an Asian person, like an Indian person would do, I would check the ranks. And the ranking was like top 10 art and design colleges of the world. And I was like instantly sold. I was like, there was no way I was going to get this, because I was like, this is in the top 10. I hope to get maybe in the top 50. But funnily enough, the top 50 ones all got rejected. And the top 10 is where I got mine. And I looked at this course, which was product design engineering. And then I realized with the course description that I exactly fit where it is. I want to make products, I want to design them, but I also want to make them come true with my engineering skills. And so the course was...
Do you have real engineering skills, Neil? I sure don't.
I do now, because I did some of it this year, but I know enough to fake it, I feel. I just know.
Like, could you design a IC?
No. But like, could you make if you had like YouTube and everything, could you make like a small robot using Arduino? I think you
Yeah,
could.
I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Arduino because there's this 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He's like my younger brother, to be honest. And so I, keep pushing him towards coding. And to get him
Right.
interested, for his birthday last year, I bought him an Arduino set, which is
Wow.
basically like I realized when I was in undergrad, this project that I was telling you about, that is what we did. Like we started with Arduino, moved on to a microprocessor. It really helped you understand what coding is.
Yeah.
And so cut to a year later, he's discarded it completely. So I brought it with me to the UK because I love tinkering around with stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like I play around with it on the weekends.
That's amazing. Did he end up using it though?
He's in class 9 now. He doesn't know his head from his tail really. He's got so much. He's got tuitions. He's got school. He plays football a lot. So we're trying to push him into that as well.
That's
So
fine.
he has zero time these days. So it's like
Right. Yeah.
he'll get around to it in some time, but not
Is
right now.
is he going for like, like the boards and everything, like the whole education system, like we went through,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like...
yeah. He is. He'll be giving his board next year.
Right. So he's getting tuitions for that and everything.
Tuitions
It's...
for that and everything. Yeah, so you know
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. I don't even want to think about how those years went.
No, no, no. There's so much criticism on those that I don't want to deal with right now. Yeah.
I
But
remember in class 12th just being in a black hole for a year, just
yeah.
studying and not doing
Right.
anything else. I mean, it's the most productive year of my life, but it's something I'd never want to do again. It was so, of
Never. No. It was a lot of forcing as well. I literally
course,
forced myself.
I did.
It was not healthy. It was
Yeah.
not good. Yeah.
Wasn't good. But the flip side is now that you and I are here in the UK,
Yeah.
we have like this muscle.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it's like
yeah.
the academic equivalent of being a really jacked guy in the gym
It's
and
steroids.
it
Yeah.
with steroids, yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like in my uni, I just finished my exams. Everybody else was stressing out for the last 3 weeks right before the exams. I frankly wasn't, and um, I couldn't really figure out why until I thought about, okay, yeah, it's probably because of that. That muscle is still that you want to call it muscle, you want to call it PTSD, whatever, but it still helps in some things.
Speaking of PTSD, do you have dreams? And I've asked like a lot of,
Yes.
yes, okay, nightmares, I would
I
say.
know what you're going to ask.
So the dreams of where you either late, you either did not submit, you either skipped a semester, or you just like failed in something, you were late to like an exam, all of
I
those kind of
had
things.
that maybe a week ago.
Yes, exactly.
And the relief that you wake up when you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I don't need to care about that. It was just a dream. And then you go back. That is so sweet.
I
I
love that.
it's so weird.
But do
I
you think that's PTSD?
I don't know. I think even a lot of like I've been reading a lot on Twitter as well that people, even people who have been like who aren't from the Indian education system also feel that
Okay, okay,
apparently. So
yeah.
I don't know if we can chalk it down to the perils of being educated in India.
Okay, so it's just like being the parents of being educated, period.
I think the common thing is the peril of being Asian because Asian cultures are very, very stringent
Right, right.
academics. So I
Yeah,
think it is more to do with that because on Twitter, I read a lot of people who are of Indian origin,
yeah.
but who have studied in the US or the UK, who have tweeted out similar stuff.
Just
So
the
yeah,
pressure that you put on yourself, I suppose.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I,
So you came here, you started, how was the course? How's the course been?
the course has been amazing. So just to give you like an overview on what the course does is, as I said before, it's making anything that is physical or products, but it doesn't limit you to that. So if you want to make like an app, you can make an app. If you want to make service design, you may want to make a service for a company or an organization, you can definitely do that. You can make artwork, you can do anything you want because art school is like very, very liberal in that sense. And our course was broken up in two sections, which was art school and then there was university. And so we went to University of Glasgow for classes for engineering, and then we went to the Glasgow School of Art for our design courses. And what they specialize in is creating innovative products with new technologies, which is different from a lot of other traditional industrial design courses around the world, where they will teach you how a product is supposed to look, a how product is supposed to feel, what kind of impact it has in the culture. This course mostly emphasizes on the fact that there are some new innovative technologies coming up in the world. There are many ways to use them. How are you going to use them to make an impact in the world, and how are you going to solve the big world problems? How are you going to design a product around that? And then how are you going to make it a reality in terms of manufacturing and business? So it's an all-encompassing course. My first project, we made a wheelchair that turns into a baby stroller. And the idea behind it was that we could basically have a circular economy in which the person who has a wheelchair, if they want to change to a wheelchair, or let's say if they pass away, that wheelchair can literally be used for like a baby stroller for like their grandchildren or something like that. So it's like closing the loop in the circle of life. And if the baby grows up, like maybe 6 months, 12 months, doesn't need the stroller anymore, it can turn into like a seat which that the baby can use till 4 years of age. And then that seat can again turn back into wheelchair. And that's somehow keeping like the materials in the world in the use, so that they don't go into a landfill. They are not even used for recycling, because Lord knows that even recycling has its own energy costs. And the second project was about creating, redesigning a Russell Hobbs grill, which was basically one of those grills that you use for sandwich
Yeah.
making, and how you can make them more intuitive, how you can make them more easier to use in terms of human factors. And then my third project, which was my own personal final project, which was teaching immigrant children language through music.
That's the one that really blew me away because I saw what you posted on LinkedIn about it.
Right.
Um, and that was great. That really was great.
Thank you.
Tell me more about it.
So the idea started with the fact that, again, linking it back to my interest in music and my wanting to make speakers and wanting to make something with music related device. I wanted to see if I could make sort of like a toy or an experience that could sort of teach songwriting to children. And probably halfway through the project, my teacher told me, "Why do you want to teach songwriting to children?" And I was like, "That's a great answer. I want to learn songwriting, so maybe that's why I want to do it. But why would a person want to learn songwriting?" And then I did some research, and then I realized that songwriting, or let's say listening to songs, is used as a tool to learn language as a second language. So famously, Jackie Chan learned English through listening to country songs, because the words are slow, the beat is slow, the rhythm is slow. They pronounce the words really clearly, so you can really like listen to it. And he does the Elvis Presley "wise men say," and he's like, "wise men say." And I was like, that's very interesting how he learned through music. And then I looked around the internet to find out that people do use music to, first of all, learn a language, but also learn the culture of the language as well. So just by reading and writing, you can only get so far. But if you know the intonation and the dialect of a language, and how what a certain thing means in that tone, you can get very far, very ahead, and really fast. So music helps people learn language really fast.
Oh, okay.
And so I wanted to incorporate this in a use case that would be most relatable to me.
Mm.
And so I remember that I was 4 years old. I think you and I both will relate to the fact that our fathers, they are in the army, they're
Yeah.
army officers. So we get to move with them, and they move quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I have changed maybe probably 10 or 11 schools growing up.
Mm.
I remember going from Lucknow, which is the center part of India, to the northeastern part of India, the
Mm.
border, which is Nagaland.
Yeah.
And I was in Kohima, and I remember crying the first 6 months, going to school every day and crying at in the classroom, and so much so that the teacher would kick me out of the class because I was crying so loudly that it would disturb the class.
When was this?
This was when I was 4 years old, so this was like
Ah.
kindergarten.
Did we talk about this at some point? Did you like write a post about this? I
Mm,
feel like I've heard this from you before. So strange.
That's very strange, because I don't think I tweeted about this. I didn't tell this story. I just keep it for people who like I talk to about the project in person. But
Weird.
I must have told you about this way before.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So the idea was that the only reason that I was crying is because I could not understand the language. I could not express
Mm.
myself. And I remember, and this was one of the first memories that I have ever as like a living human being. is that this one kid who was sitting ahead of me, he looked back at me and then he offered me a candy, which was very peculiar. It was like a candy shaped in cigarettes. It's shaped of cigarettes. So I don't know if you were, this was like a chalky candy, which
Yeah, yeah,
was,
yeah.
I don't know if you remember that,
I
but
remember. Yeah.
great candy. He showed me that. He gave me one of those.
Yeah.
He,
Great candy just got you hooked onto cigarettes at like age 5.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
Talk
I
about,
was
yeah,
smoking like 2 packs a day by the time I was in class 5. So
exactly. Talk about that culture. That's insane that they could get away with this.
yeah.
But I remember that his generosity gave me a bit more confidence to the fact that I could interact with people even if I did not know the language.
Hmm.
And I remember that soon after that, they would come to me because I had delicious lunch in my
Hmm.
lunchbox, and they would trade with me with candies, and I could just be beside them and listen to them and not have to talk, but sort of feel like I'm a part of the group.
Hmm.
And then my memory fades away. I've been told that after probably 3 months, that I was fluent in Nagamese, which was their language. And I
Whoa.
was fluent at it and I was great at it. And I was constantly talking in that language. And to the point where I did not even know how to write or write Hindi, which was like my own primary language.
Hmm.
And I realized that this could be used in a use case where a lot of people in the UK come from so far away.
Yeah.
And so many of these children do not know English or do not know any of the language that they have to speak in a classroom. And this happens all over the world. But what is, and studies show that what has been like the successor of learning a language is just being collaborative and just being within the vicinity of like a social structure where you can pick it up easily. So if people are talking to you or people are able to communicate with you, then that's enough of a accelerant for you to learn it better.
Hmm.
So I wanted to create a toy or a game that within a classroom, children with different language abilities could just play without having to talk a lot, but also within the game, they could learn the language themselves.
Hmm.
So I created Enzo the elephant, which is actually, I'll show you. I have I have a prototype right here, which is
Yeah. That's
this.
what
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Yeah. So this right here um is a speaker.
Can you show us how it works?
No, I took out the electronics to be like honest with you because it wasn't working smoothly.
Okay.
It's still like in the early prototypes. So this is just like the structure, and I have another one that is now a plant holder, which is really funny. Uh, so the idea is that this is a speaker and it has tags, and both the speaker and the tags work as a form of a game that you can play in the classroom.
Yeah.
So people will gather around. They will the speaker Enzo will be in the middle, and the teacher will have been placed tags on objects prior to this game. And what will happen is that the teacher will make up a story, something like, hey, this person, Enzo the elephant, needs water. What is something that can give water? And then the children will run towards each of these objects and they will touch the tags on these objects.
Hmm.
While they touch these tags, there will be a melody that will be generated, sort of like a nursery rhyme,
Hmm.
that will correlate to the word that they are playing with. So the theme of this is water. So they will be correlated with like a melody that somehow signifies water.
Hmm.
And this is done through like great technology. Like now we have like generative music applications that you can just code and make random generated melodies. And what this does is that reinforces the idea of water with that particular music. And if you know, and if you can feel, and if you can remember the melody of water, then you just really close to understanding the word water itself. So that in that sense, you have been rewiring your brain to know what that word means, rather than just it being a translation of what your first language is. So if your first language is Hindi and water is pani, this doesn't go like, oh, pani is water, so we're combining the both. It's sort of going like, water is this entity, it means pani, but then it also means water. So it's bringing a more direct approach, a more direct scientific approach to understanding words, rather than just translating from one language to the other. But yeah, that's
So
the
would it be like, if the theme is water, then you have like a tag on a water bottle and a tag on a bucket of water and a tag on a jar of water and a glass of water and stuff like that.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
then how does the game work? Then that they take the tag and place it on the elephant and then it makes a sound. Is that it?
No, so they will they go, the tags are already placed by the teacher. They will go and touch the tags. While they touch the tags, as they touch the tags, the elephant speaker generates the melody.
Right.
And one by one, each person comes and touches the trunk of the elephant to stop the music. So the melody goes down, 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 down. And then they can speak the answer, whatever they touched, or like the word that they were like playing with, water, and they can just whisper it into the ear of the elephant. I
Right.
have a whole video about it. I would love to share it with you.
Yeah.
Which I did with my friends, which was really fun.